Biggest challenge by far right now for Sudan is the Nile Dam dispute. It is a conflict involving three countries that are dependent on the Nile's waters, with Sudan caught in the middle of a decade-long row between Egypt and Ethiopia. It is a very complicated situation, so I wanted to break it down for you piece by piece. The River Nile has been a backbone of civilization for thousands of years. Several countries in Africa rely on it as a key water source, but it has also been a source of tension. Those tensions reached a boiling point recently, particularly between Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia. Here's why. In 2011, Ethiopia began building a huge dam in the River Nile, known as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, in order to provide electricity to more of its citizens. This was a huge construction project. It cost about $4 billion and was set to be Africa's largest hydroelectric power dam. Ethiopia wants the reservoir to be filled as quickly as possible to generate maximum electricity, but their neighbors, and I'm talking about Sudan and Egypt, have expressed concern. Egypt relies on the Nile for pretty much all of its drinking water, all of its irrigation. They believe that this dam will drastically reduce their water supplies. Sudan, on the other hand, is worried about the dam's safety and whether or not the water flow will actually impact their own dams and their own water stations. Both countries are worried about the dam giving Ethiopia too much power over the Blue Nile. That's the part of the Nile that starts off at Ethiopia's Lake Tana and then flows north through Sudan, merges with the White Nile before going into Egypt. There has been so much negotiation, so much debate, and no resolution. Ethiopia is still going ahead building this dam. They're still going to be filling the reservoir with water as well. And some analysts fear the possibility of military conflict as a result. Time now for Zane's Exchange, where we take a look at what's at stake for Sudan in the dispute over the Nile Dam. The three countries involved are now deadlocked over what comes next. Earlier, I spoke with Sudan's Prime Minister, Abdallah Hamdok, and I began by asking him if he believes Egypt's threat to go to war over this. Take a listen.
The issues that are related to the GERD, or the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, are very serious. And I think when President Sisi made that statement, he would like us to express to the rest of the world the seriousness of this issue. It is time-bound, and it is linked to the safety, security of millions of our people in both Sudan and Egypt. And I think we would like the rest of the world to understand the gravity of the situation, and to the point that the issues that are related to GERD are solvable. We can easily resolve them in a matter of weeks. So, and also I think we would like to see this resolved within the remit of the international law.
Okay, so speaking of the resolution, your government has talked about getting international partners and mediators to intervene, perhaps some kind of intervention from the UN Security Council. Obviously, the AU has hosted talks, getting more cooperation from the US, at the UN and the EU as well. But Ethiopia says that, you know, this is an African problem and it should be solved by African leaders only. Do they have a point?
You know, we are the first to propose the motto of African solutions for African problems. AU is our premier institution. We respect it. What we proposed is to add to the role of the AU the mediators who were there. They were observers. They are observing this process with us for the last year or so. What we would like them just to elevate their role from an observer who are sitting there passively to operate as mediators who could help us reach an agreement and reach it soon.
So let me ask you this, Prime Minister. For several years, Sudan was perfectly happy to go about, for Ethiopia to go about building this dam. Sudan had sort of supported this idea that Ethiopia needed a way of providing electricity for more of its citizens. Now it seems as though there's been this sort of sudden about change in your support. What brought that about?
Yes, the dam brings a lot of benefits to the three countries for that matter. But for these benefits to materialize, we have to reach a binding agreement that would allow us to plan our life, to be able to utilize the water that is coming from the dam in a way that will allow agricultural production, the livelihood, and all that. Without that agreement, we will always be at the mercy of Ethiopia to give it today and close it tomorrow. This is why we are asking for a binding agreement within the international law.
The tensions over the dam are not the only reason why Sudan and Ethiopia are at loggerheads right now. There's also issues when it comes to disputed borders. There are border clashes between Ethiopia and Sudan happening right now. Are you confident that that won't lead to war either?
You know, in Sudan border 7 countries. The only border area among the 7 countries that has no dispute, which was resolved years back to 1902. We had an agreement that led us to demarcate these borders on the map and on the ground. Successive Ethiopian government have recognized this. We do not understand why is it suddenly become an issue. In fact, we had established a mechanism, a joint border committee that met twice at least over the last 6 months. And we were moving forward to resolve this. And still we think there is ample room for dialogue and for resolving this peacefully.
And another question, I just want to pivot slightly, is Israel. Sudan recently normalized relations with Israel. The Palestinians somewhat felt betrayed by that. What do you make of the Palestinian response to Sudan's normalization with relations with Israel?
You know, this great revolution of Sudan, which brought the dictatorship, opened Sudan to the rest of the world. And we have adopted a foreign policy that is transformed Sudan into a country that is at peace with itself, with its neighbors, and all that. When it comes to the issue of normalization with Israel, normalization is not an event, it's a process. We have started this, but the final say on this whole process will be left to the Sudanese people through their institutions.
And Prime Minister, you talked about sort of some of the changes that Sudan has made, obviously transitioning from a dictatorship to a democracy, being removed as a state sponsor of terrorism, being now open to the rest of the world, having a relationship and a dialogue with the international community. What do you hope that relationship with the international community, what sort of benefits do you hope that that will bring to Sudan over the long term?
You know, thank you very much for bringing this. You are absolutely right. Sudan is passing through multiple transitions, from conflict and wars to peace, from dictatorship to democracy and good governance, from isolation to relinking to the rest of the world, and also from collapsing economy and hardships, hopefully, to prosperity. Opening up to the rest of the world will open Sudan for investment. And as you know, over the last year and a half, we've been able to negotiate with the United States the removal of Sudan from the list of the states sponsoring terrorism. It's a game changer.
Finally, I want to talk about Omar al-Bashir, who was the dictator who ruled Sudan for many years and has been accused of war crimes, violence, mass killings that led to the deaths of 300,000 Sudanese people during the conflict in Darfur. Are you committed at this point, Prime Minister, to making sure that Omar al-Bashir is handed over to the International Criminal Court to face justice?
You know, the three slogans of this revolution were justice, freedom, and equality. And I think we will not rest until we see justice being served to the utmost satisfaction of the victims' families. We have been in direct talks with the ICC. The prosecutor came to visit us. She's coming next month to visit us again. And we are in negotiations with them. We are very determined that justice will be served, and to the satisfaction of our families' victims, we will do anything that will lead us to that satisfaction and that result.
Prime Minister Hamdok, appreciate you being on the program.